Hey, what's up? Oh my God, sorry guys. Tuned in a few minutes late here today, but it's been one of those days. Good morning. I am enjoying a little bit of sunshine out here, which is amazing in this town right now. If you're anywhere in Prince George living in the bowl, I hope that it is sunny downtown for you right now because it's better up here right now. Thank you for joining me, my friends. Let me see, where am I at here? I'm checking in. I love these days. It's my live day and I'm never organized for it. I always say every week I'm going to be super organized for things, but I tell you, it's difficult. The weeks fly by. I don't know how everyone else is feeling about that, but my time is gone. So I'm going to do the best that I can today and not worry about perfection. Just worry about sharing what I have to share with you today. Which is my energy and my love for you. Mwah. I love you. You're amazing. You've got this. If nobody's told you that today or lately, I want you to know that you can do anything that you put your mind to. Okay? I'm here for you. I believe in you. I know you can. And if you need help, reach out, baby. That's what we're here for. Oh, yes, I love it. Love you guys tuning in. Thank you for that. I love you. And I want to get down to business. I'm a little bit late here. Got kid pickup today. But really, what I want to talk to you about today is I'm getting ready to launch this part two of a program, and you'll hear a little bit about it. I've talked about the color code before, but I haven't talked about it in a while. So, really, what I wanted to tell you guys about is that one time I went blind. And I talk a lot about living your best life and about leaning in and figuring out what you want. But I don't always tell you what can happen if you don't, right? Why is it so important? Yeah, to be happy, to all that crap. But really, at the end of the day, it can make you sick. And that's what happened for me. And that's why everything that I talk about, that's why I do this every week. It's not just because it's business or because I love it or I'm passionate about it or what have you. I actually talk about it because it saved my life. And that's, I'm going to remind everybody about my story about how I ended up here. So, I am a First Nations woman. I am a first person in my family not to go to any type of residential school, Indian day school. I have grown up part of my life on our First Nations reserve and part of my life in the city and out in the country, but really living in both worlds and being what we call in Canada an urban Aboriginal. And just trying to respect our traditions, live in that, but also be able to absorb into the rest of society. My aunt and uncle raised me, helped my biological mom raise me. So I would go spend the summers with my bio mom, and then I would spend the school year with my aunt and uncle, and then they would switch me. And then at 10 years old, they decided it was time for me to make a full switch. So I moved the school year with my bio mom, and my summer would go to my parents that I lived with every day, pretty much my whole life. So right there, kind of a crazy dynamic, which I never really looked at. It was always like, oh, that's just normal. That's the way it is. It's not normal, right? And in some ways, it kind of created its own type of things like residential school did for my family, right? Where it's you're kind of messing that little mix up there. I love both my families so much, and I'm so appreciative of everything I had. But there's where some of the stuff started, even right at those young. That's why it's so important when I talk about your 8-year-old, and for you to really tune into where some of these habits, these affirmations, these ways of talking to ourselves, these ways of believing things, you need to tune back into when you were a kid. Some of my clients will say, I don't remember. Well, I need you to go with your gut. And a lot of reason that's why people are jamming it down and don't remember is because it wasn't great. But for me, that's been my freedom. That's been my health coming back to life is understanding why, that I just wasn't born this way and it's just not the way it is, that I can conscientiously make change and growth every single freaking day that I put my mind to it. So that part of my life happens. I move, I go to college, I do these things. I start working for Indigenous organizations, Indigenous communities, another amazing Indigenous consultant. And I learned so much. I did so well. Met my life partner, Corey. We have 2 beautiful children. But at the same time, I was still packing around things that I didn't know. I'm not good enough. And I didn't even realize that this came a lot from being in two families and them not understanding each other. And every time I'd go to the one house, the other one would go, "What's wrong with you? Why are you acting like that? Who are you?" This, that, and the other thing. And so I was constantly saying, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be." And I was constantly apologizing for who I was because it was I wasn't strong enough to say, "Well, I don't care. I'm a kid," right? So that my people pleasing ways, if anybody can, they transferred into my adult years. So my belief in high school, I attracted the bullies because I was like, if you don't like me, I'm going to make you like me because that's safety. Oh, you're the meanest person in the workplace. Let's be best friends because that's safety. And I'm a good person then, or something good about me is happening. So that really hit my self-esteem hard and made that grow throughout time. Then I get into and I start working out in the world of work. And all I want to do is support everyone, help everyone. And I'm a yes person and I'm a behind the scenes person. And my goal is to get the coffee, write the report, help facilitate a bit, but not really. I'm kind of a fluffer, right? If anybody knows, and it's a terrible example, but it's like in porn movies, they call them fluffers, right? Where you've got people that run around and keep the talent going. That's kind of how I liken myself with my people that I worked with, is keeping them going, right? And being like, "Oh, you need a coffee, you need a report. Oh, don't worry about it. A little massage, right? You got this. You're doing great." And it was a great living. And I raised my children on it, but I was always on the road, always on the road. And I just gradually got less and less happy about it. And I never got a raise. I made the same amount of money, I think, for 20 years, 15 years. But everybody else around me was getting hired and making more money. Other consultants would get hired and they would make more money than me. And I was a key person. But it was like, yeah, whatever, just keep going, keep going. Until I started feeling sad all the time. I started getting massive headaches. I started, my parents, I had a nanny. My parents moved in with me. Like everybody else raised my kids but me because I had to keep working because that was part of my value. If I wasn't contributing to the world in a huge way, then I just wasn't a very good person. And so that was part of my self esteem, constantly beating myself down. So 2011, I believe it was. My kitties are pretty little then, right? It's 11 years ago. The Alexander, oh, would have been like 3 or 4. Alexander was, he's 14 now. And everybody's opening presents. And all I can think is, when are they going to get done this? I have 3 strategic plans that I got to write. Oh my gosh, this is so boring. Holy crap. And I've been super stressed for quite a while. And all of a sudden I look down and I'm looking at my husband's gift. I got him an iPad. And he goes, "Look at this." And I looked and it just all of a sudden I realized that I blinked and it was black. And I was like, "What's going on?" And long story short, I realized I was completely blind in my right eye. Not a ring of light, nothing. Because I blinked and it was like, or winked or something. And I knew that my brain was off. And I'm like, I don't understand. What is this? And then I realized I was completely blind. And so we rushed off to the iPad. Well, no, we didn't. I'm a liar. We didn't rush off anywhere. It's Christmas Day. 3 days I waited and it was completely blind. Never batted an eyelash about it. Everybody else was freaking out around me. I'm like, I'm busy, man. I got shit to do. And so finally we went to the optometrist place in the mall and they freaked. And she was like, "There's something very, very wrong with you." And I'm like, "Oh God, no. Should there's something either not very wrong or something very wrong?" There was an ophthalmological surgeon waiting at emergency for me about an hour and a half after the beginning of my journey. Long story short, she'd asked me, "Do you have any pain?" I said, "There was no pain." "No, I don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, there was. I just told you I was in pain. I had these headaches and what I thought was sinus attacks for a couple of weeks leading up to it. And long story short, there's a 20% chance, she said, that I could have multiple sclerosis. What it was called optic neuritis. And what happened was my myelin and the sheath of all my nerves became so inflamed that it basically poof blew out my nerve, like swole it up completely, where it just cut the vision off in my that eye. And I was like, oh crap, what does that mean? And she said, well, either your sight's going to come back in 6 weeks or you're going to be blind forever. Oh boy, what do I do? Holy crap, what do you mean? Like, can I do anything about this? She said, yeah, of course. Yes, there's something you can do about it. And I said, what can I do? She said, you need to relax. Like everything you've told me, your white blood count and the blood work they did, you're just so, your body is just on high alert and is ready to, and it had been my whole life. I think I've been on high alert. What do I do? She said, you need to relax and you need to calm down. Has she met me? No, she hasn't. So she knows that is not in my vocabulary. So in that moment, I'm like, okay, I'll try my best. And so what happened is the ridiculous thing when you put out into the universe, I need help. And I don't know what to do. I'm sick. I don't know myself. And that's really what it came down to is I didn't know myself. And so my friend told me, who is in law school, an Indigenous lawyer, and thank you so much, my friend Christy. You're amazing. Said, Zan, I know you like all those touchy-feely things. They made us do this personality assessment, and she didn't believe in any of it. She said, but I think I really like this one. You should take it. And it happened to be the color code. And you know me, it is my soapbox. It's what I stand up and scream from the mountains because I tell you, 6 weeks later, after taking that assessment, embracing it into my life, learning it, practicing it, and realizing that I wasn't meant to be a coffee getter. I wasn't meant to be a report writer. I was meant to be on the stage. And once I admitted that and owned that and realized that I do want to be a star, I do want to entertain, but at the same time, I want to help people and make connections. And that's when I decided I wanted to become an entertainer, right? Where I want to combine teaching and helping people with being on stage and having fun and telling jokes and being my crazy self and not having to make myself sick again. Because that's what happens when you don't live according to who you really are. And for me, it was, and in the color code, it was, I was living my life like a red, which means your main focus is getting things done. It's power. That's your core motivation, getting things done, moving things from A to B. When really I'm a yellow, which my core motivation is fun. It's entertaining people. It doesn't matter. I can still get stuff done, but I need to be having fun. And that's why I've realized I'm retiring from strategic planning. I have my last one booked, and I'm retiring from it because it is not fun to me because I'm always feeling I've got to change that organization. And if I don't get any satisfaction out of it. Well, that's just not realistic. And I think there's people better at it than me. But that's part of it, is realizing that does not bring me a lot of joy anymore. So I need to make those changes for myself. And that's what the color code taught me. And what are the other two? So I told you the two. There's yellow and red, which red is a core motivation, is power. Yellow is fun. The other two are blue and white. Blues are motivated by relationships. That is my secondary color. That's why, being a yellow blue, I want to have fun, number one. But number two, I want to make sure everybody else is having fun. And I want to make sure that people are getting some benefit out of me having fun. I know it's a twisted way. Whites are motivated by peace. They are generally the people that aren't saying a whole lot, are watching everything, and may not give their opinion on everything, but probably have a viewpoint. But also, they are the person who is just asking the questions, going, well, what did you think? And what did they think? And then what happened? And so knowing what your core motivation, and what happens is, I pity my white friends because they get swallowed up in a world of extroverts and talkers. Whites are generally the quieter of the color code. And so they will get chewed up by the rest of us talkers, the other three colors. So my whites, let me know. I need to be there for you. That's what a lot of my clients I'm working with, because they're trying to figure out, how do I get my voice out in the world? So that was the first part of it. Was, I tell you, it came back. I took those 6 weeks. I leaned in hard, and I did all of the things that we're always told to do, but that are really, really hard to do until you have your come to Jesus moment or your near death moment. That's what I feel like I had. My sight was going to be gone forever. And it was up to me to make that change. And you may go, oh, but that's not my change. I'm not in that situation. Why wait? Why wait? Why suffer anymore? It's time for you to get to know yourself. What was the color code? It's the first step of emotional intelligence. And I'm going to talk more about emotional intelligence, the whole wheel, next week. But I wanted to tell you what brought me, why I do these lives for those of you who haven't checked in. It was because I want to share what I've learned and what helped make me healthy again, what keeps me happy every day. And so knowing my core motivation, knowing what drives me every day, that's what I look for. And whenever I'm not doing something that's in alignment with that, I am procrastinating on it. I'm not happy about it. I'm making excuses. I'm making somebody else the villain of the story. If I didn't do my job right, I'm like, who's to blame for this? And that's when I know that I'm not living according to my true core motivation. So that is super important. And that is what has brought me here today, to stay healthy and to figure out what I want. And that's what it's about, is thank you, is what is it that makes us happy? What makes us tick? And that's really what emotional intelligence is. And the color code for me was the first step of that, was self-awareness. So next week, I'm going to talk about the whole emotional intelligence wheel and how working on all four of the components. You've got self-awareness, which is kind of what I'm talking about today, getting to know what makes you tick, who you are. Second one is social or self-management. What do I do now that I know this stuff? And we'll talk more about that as the weeks go. Number three is social awareness. Now that I know what makes me tick, now that I know what my triggers are, now that I know what I need to avoid, what I need to start doing, stop doing, do more of. What are other people? What's going on in the world? And this is for my managers and type like that, people, my parents, everybody who has to deal with people, which is everyone. What's going on out in the world? So then we focus on social awareness and social management. So I'll be talking more about those over the weeks. But what I wanted to say is, if this is something that interests you, if you're like, I want to know more about this color code, I want you just to put color code in the notes of any of the spots that you're watching this, and I will reach out to you and send you some more information. You don't have to take a workshop. I can just send you a link to do the assessment. There's a small fee for it. I'll have to double check. I think it's like 30 or 40 bucks. But I've also got a video recording of me doing a video that I'll send to you. But if you're like, no, Zan, I want to do something live, I've actually got 2 sessions coming up. So I'm going to do a color code. I believe it's on the 30th. I'll get the total details worked out. But for those of you who are watching, who've done the color code, because I want something for you too. You said, yeah, I know, Zan, I've done this. I've actually got a part 2 to the color code now, which is called the character code. Part 1, we learn what are the colors about? What's my motivation? That's great. But now I want to learn how this knowledge, how do I incorporate this more into who I am and the people I'm working with? So we're going to be hosting a live workshop a virtual workshop, January 31st. It'll be on Zoom. And I'm just working on the sales page and the link. So stay tuned. I'll be making sure. But if you want to make sure you're on my hot list, send me a private message, direct message me and let me know that you're interested, or just comment in one of the feeds, color code, and I will make sure to get you some info about the color code, which is one piece. The character code is the second piece of it. So we're going to be really reaching out to those of you that have taken the color code with us before. What is the character code? It's really about looking at what are your strengths and what are the things that you need to work on in terms of your character, in terms of your core motivation, in terms of your character, your personality, and how do you strengthen those areas in your life so that you are communicating and operating at 110%. All right. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to be putting those notes in there. And yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you today. It's really time for you to figure out who you are and what you want. And it's going to be my birthday next month. And I'm telling you, I feel like I am 15 years old again, every time I have a self-awareness, I feel like I get to start over again. So people say, oh my gosh, you're so excited to get older. I'm like, well, because I don't feel like I'm getting older. I feel like I'm getting younger, but I have more skills than when I did when I was young. So it's up to you, whatever you choose to set your mind to, and we'll be talking more about affirmations as time comes. But who do you want to be? Who are you? What do you want to put out into the world? And if you're not sure, reach out to me. Let me know. That's what I'm here for. I'm going to show up yapping at you every week, whether you like it or not. Is there something you want me to delve deeper into? Is there something specific? Because if you're interested in it, everyone else is too. Okay? All right, we're going to leave it at that. Let me know, folks, what you thought. If you got anything out of this webinar, like it, love it, share it with somebody. But let me know, what are you interested in learning more about in these webinars? Two, if you're interested in getting on the color code contact list, if you're interested in signing up, you and or your team, to do the character code or the color code, please reach out. I can send you some information and tell you a bit more. And finally, there's a link, and I'll be dropping it here too. I am getting ready to plan some women's leadership retreats. And you don't have to be a leader of a company. If you are a leader of yourself, you're a business owner, you're a parent, you're the chief emotional support person on your team, this is for you. It's really about getting like-minded people together to dream, to share dreams, to spend the time that we all say that we don't have, to decide on our goals, to make plans around those goals, and to have some accountability. So I would love for you. I'm also going to drop the link in all of these too for the Survey Monkey. And don't worry, it is a women's one right now, but don't worry, everybody else in the world, it's just my first stop. So there'll be more for you too. Alrighty? Have a great day. And remember, today is the first day of the rest of your life. What is it that you want to create and manifest in your life? And manifestation for me is that cross section between wishing, dreaming, and action. All right. Have a great week. Love you.